Hey, hey, hopefully everything's going well and we don't have a burnout. Welcome to the lair. It's Thursday, trying something a little different, try a different time and see if that works better for everybody. Fridays are freaky. Uh, they don't seem to work for me. I've had equipment problems, internet problems. I'm just thinking Friday is just a no fly zone for me. So we'll try Thursday. If that doesn't work, there's a few other days of the week we can try. So let's see how it's going. Um, Good to see our friends Robert and Mudhorn Station in here bright and early. So, thank you, gentlemen, for showing up. Trying to lasso an audience when you don't have a set time zone and people aren't knowing when to find you is definitely proven to be a challenge. So, it could be a rocky few weeks until we get there. Excellent. I'm glad seems to be working. Let's not jinx it. I probably just did. Oh well. Let's just get this thing rolling and see what happens. Let me find my notes because I have many a senior moment these days. So notes help me. But we'll do our updates, and we're going to try something a little different tonight. I kind of went with a theme for this evening, as you might have seen from the thumbnail. I want to explore some more positive stuff, positive from my point of view anyway. So, doing a little throwback Thursday. Here's our lineup for tonight. We're going to be looking back at one of my favorites, the Max Fleischer's version of Superman from the 1940s. We've got a new walkabout out this week for you guys. We're going to take a look at Darwin Cook's New Frontier. Going to be also taking a look at the Marvels, because, you know, we should have a little bit of equality between DC and Marvel, some of their better stuff. We're going to take a look at some of the great action figure photography from our buddy Action Figs, or Axion Figs if you're nasty. And then we'll round out with a little drinking and thinking. So that is the agenda for tonight. And the theme is Glory Days of Superheroes. And I picked this because I really need some stories that inspire. I am so tired. If I see one more trope of evil Superman, or knockoff evil Superman, or why all the heroes are bad, it's like, dude, I read Watchmen. That was enough. I don't need every one of my heroes to be turned into a villain, turned into a homicidal maniac, or flat out just killed and resurrected into something twisted. I'm done. I liked it when my heroes were heroes. I liked it when my heroes inspired me and inspired the world. So I picked a couple of my favorite versions of heroes, some great storylines that if you haven't read, you should definitely check out. And I see Mudhorn Ian agrees. Yeah, superheroes should be super and heroic and possibly even iconic. That's kind of where I'm coming from these days. So, with that in mind, here is a real life story that is inspiring folks that's going to be coming up this weekend. I want to remind you all, our buddy Stu is going to be doing his annual 24-hour charity live stream for Give Kids the World. That'll be March 7th and 8th, and he'll have a lot of great guests on the show, and he's going to be doing all kinds of fun stuff, and it's all for a good cause. So definitely inspiring, and if you have a moment over the weekend, go say hi to Stu. He'll definitely appreciate it. So one of the things I used to do was the Infinite Playlist, where I would put together some songs from friends around the web and see what inspired them musically. And with our theme tonight, I picked one song that if you haven't heard it, you should definitely check it out. Michael Kohler's That Time Is Now. It's a remix of the Super Friends theme song. It was on Cartoon Network, part of their promotions that they did for the different. I can't remember if it was for. Well, it also was on Boomerang, but it started on Cartoon Network. And they did a bunch of little vignettes. They did Jabberjaw. They did a couple other cool comics where they did, or cool cartoons where they did either remixes of the theme songs or new songs inspired. And this was one of my favorites because it took a great classic and made it even better. So this is Michael, and he took what was created by Hoyt Curtin, who was a great Hanna-Barbera musician, if you will. He did a lot of the cartoons theme songs for Hanna-Barbera back in the 70s and 80s. And he just remixed what was there. He added some samples and just made a really cool, groovy song. And it's super inspiring, and it's on my Infinite playlist. When I'm in the lair and I'm doing stuff, that usually comes up because it's cool. So I have added a link in the description. So if you would like to hear it for the first time or hear it all over again, the link will be in the description of this live stream, so you can check it out. Robert is saying, I dig an occasional Evil Soup story, but it's totally overdone. I agree. And it's become too much. It's almost as if that's the norm now, and it shouldn't be. Even with James Gunn's lopsided attempt at bringing back a more inspirational Superman, which was still disappointing. I mean, everything he does just feels like a Guardians of the Galaxy rehash. Sorry, just does. And yeah. Lodorn saying Soups is my favorite superhero, and I think the trope that I feel is overdone is Soups loses his powers, unable to use powers. Yeah, that's been used a bit. Although I have enjoyed that one. There's been some really cool storylines because it puts him in that fish out of water kind of thing where he has to become more like Batman, or he has to rely on other things. I think one of my favorites from that trope was the invention of the Supermobile, a totally wacky, ridiculous vehicle that he would never actually need unless he lost his powers, which he did, and then he had to fight a Mazo, hence the Supermobile, which I don't know, as a kid I always loved that thing, even though it was so super silly, like the spider buggy. Who needs it? Mr. Terrific was the best part of Gunn Superman. He should have just done a, different movie with the, well, they did a group in the DC Comics they just called the Terrifics. It was Mr. Terrific, Plastic Man. It was basically DC's version of the Fantastic Four. And that would have been a good movie. But I don't know why he wanted to make an ensemble cast instead of just doing a good Superman movie right out the gate. I don't know. You bite your tongue, sir. The Justice Jogger is anathema to inspirational. That is an evil contraption. No, I mean Supermobile. Justice Jogger. Friends don't let friends buy Justice Joggers. Or those creepy-eyed, what do you call them? Funko Pops. No. No, sir. But, yeah, so I'm thinking about maybe trying to bring back some rendition of the Infinite playlist. At least if I do a live show, I'll have at least one good song on there we can talk about. And then we'll see where we go from there. Still feeling things out as I'm getting back into the groove of doing shows again. So that's where we are. So let's take a look at a classic. Maybe you guys have seen some of these. I would hope so. They've been around since the 1940s. These were originally put out in 1941 and 42 as short serial 8 to 10 minute pieces that were in theaters. And they're classic. And in many ways, I think this is probably my favorite version of Superman. Maybe as an adult. As a kid, it was definitely the Super Friend Superman, because that was Superman I knew before I started reading comics. But as I've gotten older, I have a much greater appreciation for the Fleischer Superman. So, not only is the art great, the stories are clean, they're inspirational, The first season definitely better than the second. And we'll get into that a little bit maybe. But yeah, let's dive in. So the Max Fleischer cartoons were produced by Paramount, put out in Technicolor, which was a thing. There were 17 in all. The first 8 were done by Fleischer and his studio. The rest were done in association with Fleischer, but he wasn't. It wasn't the same group. So you'll see. I wouldn't say the last ones are any better or worse. They're just a little different. But I definitely prefer the first 8 that were done. Really classic stuff. The art is really interesting. The colors were awesome. Even though his suit is a little different from our traditional look that we're all used to, it is most definitely iconic. And it's kind of grown on me over the years. He is not as super as he later becomes in the 60s and 70s and on. He does have to leap. He does eventually begin to fly, but he is not super invulnerable. He is challenged, and they even draw the cartoon in a way that really looks like he's having to struggle, which was pretty impressive for the time. This was one of the first cartoons that used the rotoscoping technique, where they would actually have live actors come in and they would use them as models to figure out how they were going to get the body movements right. And everything about these I just find really fun. There are a couple of episodes in the 1942 serials that are, well, let's just face it, they're racist, because it was pre-World War II, and the depiction of the Japanese is not kind. I'll just say that. But it's historical context. You just got to look at it for what it was. I like the fact that Lois is not just a damsel in distress. She's a real reporter. And Clark is really the star. Clark is a hard-nosed journalist who just happens to be able to put on a blue Union suit and fly around and save people. He's not a milquetoast. He's not a pushover. He is mild-mannered, but he's not a wimp. And I think that's one of my favorite things about this version of Clark. So, yeah. And as many of you might know, when Bruce Timm was greenlit to do Batman the Animated Series, a lot of his work was inspired by the art and the direction of the Fleischer Superman series. So, kind of went full circle there. And I thought this was kind of a neat little nod. Recently, Tyler Hoechlin appeared in a Fleischer-inspired Superman suit in the pilot episode of Superman and Lois. And it was really cool to see this in live action. Even the green vehicle there is kind of a nod to the first Superman comic. So, fun stuff. And again, inspiring. And let's not forget the toys. As much as I deride Toddy Mac sometimes, he actually gave us a Fleischer Superman. So, 2 of them. He gave us one in the Superpowers, and he gave us one in his normal multiverse line. So, let's catch up with the chat real quick and see what you guys are saying about this. So, Robert's saying he has those cartoons on DVD. Yep, Mom got them for him on Christmas a couple years ago. Yeah, they are great. I really enjoy them. Action Joe Figs, good to see you, sir. Good evening. Oh, very cool. I did not know Mego did a Fleischer Superman. Very cool. That I should probably try to pick up. Mudhorn Station says that first episode sequence from Superman and Lois. Oh yeah, we just talked about that. Had the outfit that his mom made for him, which I thought was a nice touch. Definitely fits with the comics. As much as Supes is my favorite, Batman the Animated Series, definitely the best hero adaptation. I'd agree. The Superman series was good, but yeah, it could have been better. But the Batman was chef's kiss. Nobody has done a better version of Batman, not in live action or anything else, in my opinion. That was the best. Robert says, I always thought Clark in those cartoons looked... Sorry, the chat jumped on me. Looked so much like George Reeve. Oh, I thought it was based on that show, but came along. Yeah, kind of weird. Yeah, it wasn't based on George Reeve, but I can definitely, yeah, there's definitely some comparisons. Bud Collier, I believe. He did the radio voice, and he did the voice in the cartoons, and I think the likeness might have been based on him. I'd have to double check. But yeah, definitely the black and white Adventures of Superman were heavily inspired by what the Fleischer cartoons did. So, very cool stuff. Oh, cool. So the Mego version was a Big Lots exclusive. That's probably why I didn't see it. I don't have Big Lots around here. Oh, I hate to go to Evil Bay to find it, but I might, because that's a really good Superman. Ben Affleck played both Batman and Superman? Really? I did not know that. When did he play Superman? As a voice, or... You have to tell me more about that. I don't know. That's interesting. But back to the plastic goodness. I don't have these. I might get the Superpowers one, because I do have some Superpower stuff. I just, man, I don't like Toddy Mac's articulation and the 7-inch scale stuff. But I do like this version of Superman. But now that I know there's a Mego version, that might be my go-to. Although, I'm very tempted by this one. This is one that I've been keeping my eye on at Big Bad. It was 80, it's now 60, and it's been sitting there for a while. I'm not crazy about 5 POA, but it does really look like the the cartoon. And it comes with Lois and Clark in his traditional blue suit. It's got the menacing mechanical guy. Who doesn't love a good robot? And I think the real selling point for me is the phone booth. You know, it's a trope, but it's one that was a classic. You know, and this is kind of cool. You can put Clark in there and swap it out and have Superman come out. So I am very close to pulling the trigger on this one. It's not a scale I generally collect, but it is very iconic. So what about you guys? Does anybody have this set? Have you looked at this? Is it something you've considered? Most of the 5-point stuff is a pass for me. It's overpriced for what it is, in my opinion. It's nostalgia bait, but this is the kind of nostalgia bait that definitely, you know, gets me. So, oh, okay, so, oh, you're right. I totally forgot about that. Affleck did play George Reeves in Hollywoodland. And, of course, George Reeves being the actor who played Superman in the TV show and then tragically passed under mysterious circumstances. I had forgotten about that, and so had Robert. So, good call. Good looking out there. Yeah, it is pricey. I mean, even on discount now, it's still what I say, 60? Yeah, it's still $60. But 40 I might consider it. I don't know, maybe it'll go down some more. I'll keep an eye on it. But yeah, Fleischer Superman, good stuff. It's inspiring, and that's what we need more of these days. I'm so tired. I'm so tired of bad writing in superhero stuff. I don't have superhero fatigue. I have bad writing fatigue. Maybe you do too. Yeah, Ian saying 40 pounds, that would definitely, he'd pull the trigger too. I agree. I think it's worth around that. More than that, it's kind of, I really have to try to justify it. But we did another walkabout this week. I went to the island, and I already put it up live because last week our signal was wonky, and when I tried to play it, it wasn't working well. So if you want to watch it, it's already up on my channel, and there's a link in the description. But if you guys want to see it here, I'll give it a whirl. If it crashes and burns, I'll just pull it, and then I'll just let you know that the link is there. But yeah, we might give it a shot. Robert says, I recently grabbed 5 POA Marvel cap. Oh, okay. Yeah, they did a whole bunch of the Marvel ones. They're Marvel Legends, but they're like the Kenner name, so that 5 POA. I got you. Marvel cap and Iron Man to hang on the wall. Yeah, the card art's pretty cool on those. I thought about getting Cap and Falcon just for that, because I like those guys together. Want a 60s bat and a 70s soups. Yeah, if you're treating them like those, what was it, the Super 7 line that they did, where it's basically just art for the wall. You know, it's cool card art. You're never going to play with it. It's just a novelty. Yeah, if they're less than 15, 10 bucks, might be worth it. I've thought about getting a couple of those. Like I said, Marvel and Cap and Falcon, definitely. But it's like, I'm really spoiled. I like articulation. And I like to play with my toys. I don't like to just hang them on the wall unopened. But I get it. Action Joe Fig says, Largo, it is easier to get Falcon figures, G.I. Joe. Is that the Brazilian Joes? Difficult here in the U.S. Cotswold occasionally gets them. It's as if they don't want to sell in the U.S. Maybe they're not allowed to. I was under the impression that was an exclusive license for Brazil, but I don't know for sure. I know that's a good place to get Eagle Eyes if you're looking, or the muscle bodies if you're trying to get those. But they are spendy, at least if you're getting them out of the country. But yeah, I do like those figures. But I was referring to Marvel Falcon, but I do like the G.I. Joe Falcons as well. Robert says, I got Cap and Iron Man for $5 each. Yeah, all day, man. Totally worth $5. Even if you just have them as art on the wall. That's not bad. Because I like the card art on those. I thought they did a pretty good job of capturing the retro spirit. So, I'm going to attempt to run the walkabout. Like I said, last week, my internet went wiggy, but we seem to be going pretty well. Things seem smooth tonight, so we'll give it a shot. But if you want to see it on the channel separate from the live, it is there. But I'll run it, see what happens.
All right, guys, so for today's walkabout, we're going to be going to the island of Flores proper. This whole area is kind of generally known as Flores, but the island itself is the actual place the name comes from. 100 years ago, it was just kind of a rock with a church on it, and then they built a bridge, and now it is a tourist hotspot, sort of. It's a way station between here and Tikal. A lot of people go to the ruins of Tikal to see what the Mayas built. And this is a good place to stay after you get out of the airport. So we'll check it out and show you some of the local spots. And then we'll go from there. So here's a shot of the island from the mainland. You can see we've got several hotels and little spots around. There's a little island off the island where they have a little museum, kind of a tourist trap kind of thing. You can see a couple hills in the background. That's the other side of the lake, the mainland over there. Not much to see over there, pretty sparse. There's a big church on the island that was kind of the center point until everything else started getting built. The main gates you can't really see too well from here, but we'll walk over there in a minute. And there's the main bridge to get from the mainland to the island in the lake. It's kind of an interesting place. It's hard to explain. It's a pretty lake. It was a quiet town 10 years ago. Now, not so much. It keeps growing and traffic gets heavier, but there's still some beauty here. And as we get on the island, you'll start to see that there's still a few little spots that you can find little bliss if you really look hard. So this is the main entrance to Flores. They built a nice gateway, and there's a little visitor center. And everything's kind of geared towards tourists. Used to be a nice little walkabout area here, but as you can see, the lake is slowly flooding a lot of the areas here. You'll see more of that on the island. Half the island has started to sink. Here's another spot that just sort of a way station in between the island and the mainland, part of the greeting center. And as you can see, all this used to be dry, but the level of the lake has risen over the years, and a lot of things that were built are now starting to go underwater. And I don't know why the municipality hasn't tried to do something to rectify it. Maybe they have, but I keep seeing more and more of the island going underwater. It's a weird thing. Take a look at that in a minute.
Flooding has taken over Isla de Flores thanks to heavy rains, overdevelopment, and shifting climate patterns.
Here's one of the local residents. It's an iguana. You'll see these out and about in the wild. There's not a whole lot of wild here on the island anymore. It's all built up, but they still find little places next to the water to lay their eggs and lay in the sun. Well, everything here is geared towards tourism now. It used to be geared towards religion, I guess. Like I say, the only thing that was really here 100 years ago was the church, and then a few settlers. And then slowly over time, it's just become a big tourist trap. They built a sign to welcome people to Petén, and everything's either a bar or a restaurant or a tourist shop. It's kind of sad, really, because it was apparently a very pretty island. If you look at historical photographs, now it's sinking, I think, from the weight of capitalism. Who knows?
It's so irritating to see this because it's completely avoidable. Rapid building on and around the island has made flooding worse. Trees have been cleared and the land is not managed well, so water cannot drain naturally. New buildings often ignore environmental needs, causing drainage systems to overflow.
Yep, when I first moved here, guys, this was a street. You could actually walk here and walk all around the island, and it is now a lake. But yet people still have their houses here. It's just where they used to have a driveway, they now have a boat ramp. So it'd be kind of like Venice, Italy, but they didn't really plan this. So again, it's perplexing why they've allowed the island to claim, or the water to claim land, I mean. So, you know, the local taxis can't really get much work when things are underwater, but boats are doing just fine. Water taxis have become a very profitable way to get around, as you can imagine. So even in the midst of the rust and the dust, there's some beauty, some really pretty flowers here. A lot of things are in bloom right now, a lot of beautiful colors. And I like the fact that the folks here like to use bright colors on their houses. It's kind of a happy thing. You know, it's the little things that you notice and you appreciate. So we are going to Maracuya today, and we'll get a little sight of the lake and a little something to eat and drink and be merry. So this is Maracuya. This is one of the better restaurants on the island, I think. I like to come here, though they do serve for tourists. It's a good place for locals to come and hang out. Coffee's good, food's good, and it's pretty friendly. Got a nice menu and some interesting bric-a-brac about. Old things that have been made new, and you just never know what you're going to find around here. So we'll go inside. Well, I guess we won't be going here today. They're doing a private party, so they won't be open to the public until about an hour. And I'm hungry now, so we're going to try out another joint. and we'll come back and see this place another time. I really can't overstate the treachery of the sidewalks on the island. As you can see, they're in rough repair, and a lot of these side streets are just, you know, bric-a-brac stones. It's really hard to get around. A lot of this was built when everybody was using horses, and they just haven't really got up with the times. A lot of the streets are very, very narrow, and as you can see, the sidewalks are just kind of, well, sometimes they're there. Sometimes people build over them, and you just never know from street to street. So, not a place to come if you have any challenges walking. It's another local oddity. This Volkswagen's been here for the last 10 years, never moved. But every few years it gets a fresh coat of paint, some sort of new design, and it's pretty cool. Last year was a different pattern. This year a little bit more floral, pretty lady on there. Next year it'll be something else. Okay, so this is Plan B. This is Los Amigos. It's a hostel, bar, restaurant, and spa. I've only used the bar and restaurant part, but it's cool. We'll go inside in just a sec. So Dos Amigos is a hostel first. You've got fresh showers and bathrooms and some rooms out in the back, and some friendly places to just kind of hang out and lounge and enjoy. So it's kind of a mix of different cultures and atmospheres, and it's really pretty. So we'll go to the bar. Pretty good menu. I especially like the I'm Nacho Mama, but you get a little bit of everything: salad, burgers, finger food. And if you're going to call, they'll even make a box lunch for you, which is kind of cool. That's nice. Okay, so for the uninitiated, this is a michelada. It is a gallo beer with spicy tomato juice and salt and lime. And it's kind of refreshing. I don't know if that was originally a Mexican beverage, but it's very popular here in Guatemala as well. And what is this here?
Maracuya.
Maracuya. So this is a juice made from the maracuya flower. That's all I know. So I'm having the michelada. So generally out and about, I judge places by how good the coffee is and how good the michelada is. So it's good. Spicy, but not over spicy. Very tomatoey. Tomato in the beer for some reason just tastes really good. It's refreshing on a hot rainy day like today. So cheers. Speaking of coffee, they have a really good coffee menu here, as you can see. Anything from just a basic black to a really nice cappuccino, chai tea, everything in between. Got a really nice setup here, nice rig. And if you want something to nosh on and you're not wanting a full meal, they got some dessert stuff and some really good tasty bits here. So yeah, good to check out. It's another little hidey hole. There's a couple of these if you just want a quiet, private place to hang out and get away from it all. These masks are handmade locally, mostly for tourists. I'm assuming they had some sort of religious connotation back in the day, but now they're basically just sold to make a little profit. And they're pretty. I have a couple at the house, but every time I come, I see a new design, so it's kind of neat. But I like these little alcoves they built. They've just kind of made it really nice and cozy, and some chairs to hang out with your friends, and a good shot of the bar. So yeah, lots of little hidey holes like this all over Los Amigos. There's a little bit of stuff upstairs. That's mostly part of the hostel. Down here, a little bit more of seating for parties, and another little waterfall feature they've made. Places for the fishies to hang out. cute little bridge. And another little nook tucked away to just kind of hang out. So very colorful, very bohemian, if you will. And it's got a groovy vibe. So I like it. You can see why I keep coming back. So I got a big beefy burger and some purple cabbage coleslaw and some fries. Typical American type fare. And my wife's eating healthy today, so she did a salad with some shrimp and eggs. So she's, you know, being good to her body, and I'm being a fat slob. But, you know, hey, I'm 55. I don't give a fuck. I want meat and taters. So we got caught in the rain a little bit, but that's typical here. Clear up in a few minutes, and then the sun will come back out. That's kind of the way things go here. But as you can see, lake's pretty. If you like to fish, you could do some fishing. If you want to just hang out, you can hang out. Every once in a while, you see somebody with a jet ski or motorboat, but more often it's these water taxis that you'll see on the water. Plenty of places to grab some seafood or whatever you're into. But yeah, that's kind of a snapshot view of Flores. And next time we'll come and take a look at some of the other places here of interest. So some of the eagle-eyed among you will notice I wore my Analog Toy shirt today, and I did it on purpose. Our buddy Tony is raising some money for some friends of his over in Thailand, I believe. So if you are interested in donating to some kids in need, then I'll put the link to Tony's fundraiser in the description of this video. But that's it for Flores this week. My walkabout is done. My belly is full, and we will find another spot around here for next week. So if there's anything in particular you want to see, leave a comment, and we'll see what we can find. Otherwise, have a good one.
Well, my CPU is screaming at me. It did not like that at all. I'm still trying to get used to not having StreamYard, and even with some upgrades, my CPU is having a hard time handling. So I might just start uploading the walkabouts and not putting them on the live, because it just seems to be too much. But you guys said the signal was okay. On my end, it's hard to tell, because I don't know what is actually on the broadcast side sometimes. But as you saw there at the tail end of the walkabout, I mentioned that Tony from Analog Toys is doing a GoFundMe for an orphanage in Thailand, and they're at about 88% of their goal of raising $18,000. So that's pretty cool. They've only been doing this for about a week, I think, and a lot of generous donations. If you guys want to donate, like I said, there's a link in the description of this live stream, and feel free. So it's a good cause, and it's a good thing that Tony and Gracie are doing. So we should definitely support them if we can. Something to consider. But yeah, that's the walkabout for this week. There are tons of little spots all over Flores and around here that we can do. So I'll just keep hitting different spots, and hopefully I'll get better at it. It's a comedy of errors. The first time my microphone wasn't working half the time. This time my selfie stick broke halfway through recording. So it's just doing stuff outside the layer is definitely a challenge, but I'm trying to get better at it. So we'll see where it goes. But let's talk about something in the same flavor before we jump into the next bit. Let's see what we got here. Just posting walkabouts is best. Yeah, I wasn't sure if it needed to be a segment here or if it could be a standalone thing, because not my usual fare, but yeah, I think I'm just going to post them separate from now on. But I'll definitely let you guys know what is up before we do the lives. But over in Big Bad Land, this is something that's been on my radar. You know, as much as I complain about McFarlane because of the larger scale, these are even bigger. These are Beast Kingdom's dynamic action 8-inch characters. So they're Mego height, super articulated. When I first saw these, I wasn't sure because, you know, I'm looking at some of the depictions here and I'm not sure about their proportions. I'm not sure about the, see if we can get a good picture at those pegs at the wrist. I thought, is this just a bigger version of what Toddy Mac's doing? But then I saw a couple of these that people had posted that have been seeing the actual prototypes at some of the toy conventions, and they look better than these photos. They really look good. The thing that tempts me with these is that they are inspired by the Alex Ross artwork from some of the stuff he did with World's Greatest Superheroes, Kingdom Come, some of the other comics he's painted, and I like this design. So for right now, unfortunately, no, there's no smiling face. Nobody likes doing smiling Superman. I don't know why. We will be getting one from Mafex, but that one's kind of tricky. We'll take a look at that in a second. But yeah, the Alex Ross inspiration is definitely what's drawing me to these. We'll take a look at the other ones they have here. Soups looks good. I've seen a couple of people show him at, like I said, toy fairs and whatnot, and the in-hand productions that they were showing looks a lot better than these promo shots. This version of Barry Allen Flash looks right out of what Alex Ross did. You know, down to the gold accents. The face sculpt is really good. It's just, do I want to get into another scale? Because these would be standalone. I don't have anything else that would be 8-inch. So they'd kind of have their own shelf. So it's me trying to justify. But it's Alex Ross art. I like it. What do you guys think? Is this something that's a yay or nay, or is it even on your radar? They're $50 a pop, $48.99 here. I've seen them as high as $56, $57 on other sites. They are coming soon. They're slated to be March, so sometime this month they'll be coming out, and I'm hoping we'll see something. Ian says I have a Superman shelf, so yeah, any scale of Superman. Yeah, that's fair. I could probably make a Superman shelf. I have enough Superman, Clarks, Loises, and whatnots from all the different things. That might be cool. I don't usually mix scales, but ooh, I do like Jay Garrick. Would like there've been a couple of decent Jay Garricks. The DC Universe line by Mattel did a decent Jay Garrick before they lost the license. Toddy Mac did one, but yeah, it'd be nice to see the whole JSA done. Maybe when Mattel gets the license back, we'll see them go and do a deep dive, give us JSA and JLA. That would be nice. Yeah, I'm with Robert. The new scale is the hesitation. I get it. Beast Kingdom needed to go a different scale in order to get the license. I think that's why they went 8-inch. But the articulation on them looks good. I don't know about the QC. I haven't, obviously these haven't been released yet. Earlier ones that they've released are kind of hit and miss, but they were cloth suited. They were more Mezco-ish. These, better price point, better sculpt, I think. So I'm debating it. I don't know. But I like the fact that they've got 4 heroes coming out of the gate. So we'll get Flash and Green Lantern. Yep, there's the Green Lantern. Which looks good. That's Hal Jordan. His more modern look, but this is how Alex Ross drew him as well. He's one of the only ones that comes with an accessory. The rest of them come with extra hands and a basic stand, he actually has his power battery, which is something. But I would have liked to have seen a batarang for Batman at least. But no, I could probably conjure one. Let's see if I can find the Batman that they have in this line, because I think he looks really the most like the Alex Ross artwork. Yeah. So it's tempting, but like Robert says, it's another scale. Yeah, I like the hell. It does look good. 18 is great, especially for vehicles and playsets. I have some 118 stuff, mostly the Delta 17's O-rings these days, but I have a smattering of a few other things. But yeah, I've only got so much shelf space, so you know, uh, I'm chewing. I know I've got a bunch of pre-orders coming in. I don't need to be dropping big bucks on a whole new line that I don't even have a place for, but such is the life of a toy collector, with more aspirations than sense, I guess. So anyway, just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on this. I think it's a cool set. Let's take a look at something Mofex is doing. If I can get it to pull up here. Because of something Ian said. See if I can get it to come up. There he is. Something that's coming later this year. Actually, the end of year. Estimated December. Clark Kent in his blue suit as he looked in the Jim Lee art from Hush. It's a good looking figure. Really pricey though. Most of the Hush line were about $100 last year. Now they're up to about 130. But he does come with a lot of accessories. So we've got good serious looking Clark. His smart business suit. You know, he's got those farm boy shoulders. He also has a torso for doing the iconic opening his shirt look. He's got, you know, glasses on, glasses off. And yeah, he's stern here, as he is often depicted. But they did include a slightly smiling kind of grin face, which is something we haven't seen from a lot of other toy manufacturers, you know. It's not a smiling Superman, but it's something. And it's a good head sculpt. So I have this on pre-order because I'm a sucker for Superman stuff. And I like Clark. I always think Clark gets underrated in a lot of renditions. But this is probably one of my favorite Superman 1/12 scale figures. So having extra accessories for him and having a Clark to go with him. And a Bruce. They're doing a Bruce Wayne as well. Yeah, I'm a sucker for this. So Ian says, aspirations should always be out there. Otherwise, they're just logical plans. Well said, sir. Well said. So something might be on your guys' radar or not. Pre-orders are still available on these. They won't be coming till around Christmas time, but gotta have them. In that vein, I have the Muff Toys Clark. I'm sorry, Defender or Protector of Metropolis, as they called him. But he looks really good next to Soups, if I can get him to focus on camera. The jacket's a little frumpy, but you know, I like this style. It fit with the Mezcos I have. I like having a good Clark Kent on the shelf. He looks good next to my Christopher Reeve Soups. But I don't know. These, we'll go over the toy cam. We'll look at what we got there. If I can get it to wake up. There we go. Thinking about it. There it is. So this is kind of my Magnificent Seven. Mostly Mezco. Actually, all Mezco except the Martian Manhunter, which they haven't made. That's one of the few Todd McFarlane figures I have. The Manhunter, it's a little oversized, but you know, you can fudge it with him because he should be a little bit bigger. But I might replace the Mezcos with those new Beast Kingdoms. for my quintessential Justice League if they give us the rest of the team. So, but 4 out of the gate's not bad. You know, we'll have the Brave and the Bold with Green Lantern and Flash. We'll have Batman and Superman. So give us Wonder Woman, Aquaman, and Martian Manhunter. We've got the set. They're also doing a Dark Side. They did a Lobo that looks kind of cool. So if you like the main man, they have a Lobo in that size. They have a few others. So Beast Kingdom might be something to look at. This is kind of a new line they're doing, less cloth goods, more really good sculpt. Something to take and maybe think about. Robert saying the Mofex Clark is cool, but the price holds me back. Yeah, the price jumped considerably. Blame it on tariffs, blame it on the alcohol, I don't know. But yeah, it's about a $30 price increase, which is hard to swallow. Even the Ra's al Ghul that was recently put up was way more expensive than the previous versions of the Hush figures. And he comes with almost no accessories. So it's a bitter pill. But yeah, something to consider. But I do like toys that inspire me. That's kind of the theme tonight. And these do inspire. As does my buddy, if I can find my slides, Ed over at Action Figs. Wanted to give him a shout out. We shouted out our buddy Jonathan from Random Diorama. And Ed uses a lot of Random Diorama's bits in his toy photography, amongst other things that he's crafted himself and other things he's picked up. And he's been doing a really fun series on his Instagram, which is linked in the description on this live stream. So he's really diving into Adventure Team stuff, and he's definitely inspiring me to get back into toy photography. So we'll take a look at some of his goodies here. Let's jump back and see what's going on in the chat here real quick. Ian saying, when toy prices get that high, I start thinking about the number of other toys I could get for the price of that single one. Yeah, that's fair. I have a lot of Mofex, mostly the Hush line, because I really like those. But yeah, I could get 4 or 5 Action Force for the price of one of those. So yeah, that's a fair point. And yes, my Doc Savage figure is sitting in my pile of loot. I haven't pulled the trigger yet because I know I've got some other pre-orders that should be coming, and it's such a pain to get things shipped here. But I'm anxiously awaiting Doc to go with my Shadow figure and do some toy photography with those two guys together. Oh, thanks, Ian. I will be doing some more Adventure Team stuff maybe later this year. We'll talk about that later in the show. Yeah, let's see what Ed's got going. So these are his Agents of Omega, inspired by what we're seeing from Fresh Monkey Fiction coming later this year. I love what he did here. So you see, this is the original toy photography that Ed did out in his Crick area. And then he put that through some sort of a AI filter. I don't know what. I'm assuming Google Gemini or something like that. And then made the really cool retro style advertisements that really harkens back to the Adventure Teams kind of stuff. And I like this style that he's got going. I think it's very cool. So he's got, you know, the Ice Bear. He did a Savage River Survival. I think he crafted that boat himself. I have to ask him about that. But, you know, he's got a smattering of everything in there. I can see pieces from Jurassic Park with the vest. He's got some Monster Force, some Action Force gear, and the G.I. Joe Croc from the villain whose name escapes me, Crocmaster. Yeah. Put it all together with some really cool effects, and you get some really neat stuff. So he's doing some killer work, man. He's got the new Sasquatch, the Chatsworth here with an older Joe. looks pretty cool. Technically, that's, I think, one of the general heads from the Monster Force with one of the soldiers. They even put the footprints in the sand. That attention to detail, I love it. Good stuff. And not only is he on Instagram, but you can find Ed on YouTube with his buddy Travis, aka Mr. Wonderful, where they do the Toyleet. And they do a show talking toys, talking wrestling, talking photography, and all things fun and interesting. So give them a look, give them a like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Again, links in the description, both for Ed's Instagram, where you'll see all of his cool photography, and his YouTube channel. And let's see what else he's got on his Instagram right now. Haven't been over there today, but yeah, he's got some cool stuff. Here's one with those new Skeletron figures. Really nice. Digging that. Those photograph really well outdoors. I haven't picked it up, but I am tempted to get the camo one. And I love the gangster stuff. Anything, you know, with a film noir feel, I'm definitely interested. I like these Mezcos. I have not picked these up, the gangster ones. It's a lot of cash to drop. But I did get Shadow and Doc Savage, so they need some baddies to fight. I might consider this one, or wait for another line to come out that's a little less expensive. Really cool pilot, downed pilot it looks like here. That's a neat one. Another one with the camo Skeletron guy facing off against a Bigfoot. Very cool. A card game gone wrong. A bad deal. So, great use of the foreground and all the sets and props. It's just fun stuff. So, just thought you guys would enjoy that. And I just realized you're not seeing what I'm seeing because I'm on the different page. Sorry about that. But yeah, this is what he's got on Instagram right now. So if you go over to Ed's Instagram, which is Axion, AKXION _figs, you'll see some of these cool photos that he's got up there. And definitely worth following. So he's got some cool stuff going on. And really like what he's doing. So something to keep an eye out for. Just wanted to give a shout out to our buddy Ed and Travis too for their YouTube channel. So what do we got going over here? Ian's in. What's key here is that he shows his original photography and not just an AI image. I agree. It's not AI slop. He really does take the pictures. He just enhances them using AI. And I think that's a key difference. So that's cool. I like that he's looking for an interesting way to use the technology, but not abuse it, in my opinion. Yep, first glitch. Okay. Yeah. Too many buttons. I thought we were on the same page. So, sorry. But yeah, there is all the good stuff for Ed and his photography there. So, definitely check it out. Next, in the same line of our inspirational stuff, I want to talk about one of my favorite DC stories of all time. And that's New Frontier from 2004, Darwin Cook. Good stuff. If you haven't read it, why not? It's been around for, good Lord, 20 years now or more. Where does the time go? But yeah, it was a very different story. It was kind of like a love letter. It harkens to all of the great things we love about the classic characters. Somehow in 6 issues, he crammed in most of the DC history, from World War II characters, the JSA is mentioned, the magical characters have some cameos. He goes through a lot of history. And this series won not only the Eisner and the Harvey, but also the Schuster Award, which is very impressive. He wrote this, he drew it, and it's a great series. It's been collected many different ways, so you can get the whole series now in one volume. But the art style was not typical of what was out in the early 2000s. His stuff was very different, and I agree with Robert. It is definitely hard to describe or cover in one sitting, but I will attempt it. The story actually spans quite a period of our real history, looking at it through the lens of the characters from DC's comic history. And the way that Darwin Cook himself explained it in an interview was kind of interesting. He said you could look at it a couple different ways. He said you could look at it as a love letter to a bygone era, or an allegorical reflection of contemporary concerns, or big shoot 'em up with giant monster, or character-driven historical melodrama. It is all of these things and more. So, we lost him too soon. He passed in 2016, and he had so much more to offer. But he did give us a great body of work. I might do a separate video just about Darwin Cook, because he has done so much great stuff. Stuff with Catwoman, with Slam Bradley, with he even did a few things at Marvel too, but he's had his hands in quite a bit, not only in comic books, but also in animation. A lot of people don't realize he worked behind the scenes with Bruce Timm for Batman Beyond. He did a lot of work for that. He also worked with, I think, Sony for Men in Black, their cartoon series. So, very interesting career. And towards the end, he was doing some very cool detective, dark noir kind of stuff with the Parker series. So, we'll give a spotlight on Darwin himself. But tonight is mostly just New Frontier. So, the story in a nutshell: World War II has ended, the Cold War has begun, and our heroes are in that weird in-between place. The Golden Age has ended, the Silver Age has yet to come. So it's a dark time, and it really covers a lot of things and works in a lot of real historical facts and shows how the DC Universe heroes would deal with that. And I think it does it really well. Goji says Darwin Cook was an interesting guy. Definitely did not suffer fools within the comics industry. Yeah. If you've ever seen any of his interviews, he's not one to mince words. And I like that about him. He talked like a New Yorker, but he was Canadian. It's weird. So in this series, we meet long-standing icons. So you have the Trinity. Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman have been operating since the 1940s, like when they were actually published. And they're kind of holdovers, some of the last of the Golden Age. And they're kind of the torchbearers to keep things alive during the dark times of the Red Menace, the Red Scare, the Korean War, and all of the dark things that went on during that time period. And we also see some new heroes show up. We see the start of Barry Allen's career as the Flash, and in this series we see pilot Hal Jordan first receive the power ring and struggle with whether he actually wants to use it or not, which is an interesting take. Very well done. A lot of character-driven stuff. We get to see the losers from World War II, cameos with the Unknown Soldier, Sergeant Rock, all those great guys. Just little blips here and there in the story, but he fits it all in such a way that it just works. And he shows the transition from the end of World War II into the Cold War, and how that would have affected superheroes had they actually existed in that time. Even to the point where heroes are forced to register, dealing with McCarthyism and blacklisting and all that good stuff. But somehow, Batman gets the upper hand on Superman and continues to operate. So, very interesting. But, yeah, really well handled, I think. Ian, sorry, buddy. I know it's late where you are. Thanks for sticking around as long as you did. Catch what you want on the replay. Thanks for stopping in, and we'll see you in the near future. So, yeah, I liked his depiction of Diana as a true Amazon. She's taller than Clark, and she stands up to him and lets him know your American way is not always so great. Calls it where he sees him. But it could easily have been a very cynical book, but it isn't. It is hopeful. It talks about how these characters struggle with the things they deal with. I really like his use of Martian Manhunter, kind of tying into the Robert Heinlein Stranger in a Strange Land kind of vibe. How this definite outsider, the last Martian, looks at our world and tries to figure out how to deal with it. His Batman is definitely a detective and is terrifying at first, but with reason. And seeing things through the eyes of John Jones, really kind of a neat way of progressing the story. And you see there's a little cameo here to the Fleischer cartoon, as if that was in universe. You know, of course, everybody loves Superman, so why wouldn't they do cartoon serials of his exploits? We see the birth of the Challengers of the Unknown, and they play a major role in the story as well. And I like the bit with John watching television and using his shape-shifting abilities to figure out what kind of identity he likes. Apparently, he's a Bugs Bunny fan. Who knew? Goji says, yeah, New Frontier was one of the best DC animated feature adaptations. I agree. And we'll talk about that in a sec, too. Most of the DC cartoon stuff after the Batman series was kind of hit or miss, but New Frontier really was well done. Yeah, we'll talk about it. The space race is definitely heavily featured because it was a big part of the times. And we see it through the eyes of Ferris Aircraft working with the government, and of course, Hal Jordan and Carol Ferris and their tumultuous romance. It's really well done. Beautiful artwork for the sci-fi retro futuristic look of the spaceships and all the technology. Really, really fun stuff. I definitely enjoy that. And he wasn't afraid to hit some very dark parts of our history. You know, he's not afraid to talk about McCarthyism, racism, problems with our society as it was. Things were very turbulent after World War II, and it took us a while to kind of level out. Some would say we're still working on it. I really liked this storyline with John Henry, who was a vigilante dealing with racism in the South. And again, there are some dark moments, but towards the end you have the inspiration and the hope when you see a young John Henry Irons being inspired by stories of the Steel Driving Man. Because you guys who know comics know Mr. Irons goes on to become the character Steel, inspired by Superman. So a lot of little nods to DC history, and very well handled. He even goes so far as to explain why Batman changed his look from the early 40s when he was the Dark Avenger to taking on a lighter, more kid-friendly role, and even bringing on a sidekick. Again, he worked it into the storyline, and it totally made sense. You see the beginnings of the world's finest, and another nod to the golden age there, when these three were very prominently featured in the comics. And you find out that the fight was pretty much rigged. You know, Superman and Batman staged their fight so that Supes could say he did go after Bats, but he let him get away so that he can continue to work. Because Soups isn't just, the big blue Boy Scout working for the government. He wants to see change. He wants to see things get better. And he knows Batman has a way of working that works in Gotham. And they're actually friends. Super friends. They keep it on the down low so they don't have any problems with the government. And the introduction of Robin is explained quite well. Batman's trying to scare criminals, not kids. So that definitely influenced why he decided to bring on Robin as his ward. And I think Darwin Cook handled that really well. His Superman is definitely inspirational. Towards the end, when they're facing the major crisis of the story, it's Superman who rallies the troops, who gets both sides, the government and the superhero vigilantes, to work together. And definitely a very inspiring speech that he gives. Says whether you have a mask or a uniform, it doesn't matter. Stand united. And of course, the good guys win. And it all wraps up with 1960 and the words from John Kennedy's speech, where the name New Frontier comes from. So I am asking each of you to be pioneers on that new frontier. So, apologies, my dogs are screaming. I'm going to take a break and go deal with them, and I'll be right back. Apologies. My wife just got back from the bar, and the dogs are, they always freak out when they hear the car. So, where were we? Oh yeah, New Frontier. Yeah, Heroes Triumphant, Kennedy's inspiring speech. And to be clear, Darwin Cook wasn't like endorsing everything Kennedy stood for, but he was endorsing the idea of the changing times. There was still problems, and even in the New Frontier comics, he alludes to the fact that there's still new villains, there's still segregation, there's still other challenges to be met. But he sees the 60s as the beginning of the Silver Age of DC Comics and a time of hope, renewal. And so they definitely face those challenges head on. And basically, you see the JLA unite at the end of the story, and it is the beginning of the Silver Age. So again, very inspirational story, great art. Nothing tops it in my book. If you like this art style, if you liked the animated series style of Bruce Timm, because they were both very similar artists, why wouldn't this be your quintessential DC story? So it is definitely one of my favorites. If you guys haven't checked it out, you should. It's definitely available, like I say, in a lot of different collected versions. And of course, there is the animated series, like Goji mentioned, which is, or I'm sorry, it's just an animated film, not a series, but I would have loved to have seen a series. The standard edition is good. The deluxe is a nicer hardcover. It's a little spendier. Both should have the extra piece called Justice League The New Frontier Special, which has a couple of extra stories. So if you do pick up a graphic novel collected edition, make sure it's got those extra stories in there. So Most of the newer editions do. They've been included. And of course, the animated movie was really well done. It's not beat for beat. They did have to condense some things. You can't make a 2-hour film that covers everything that's in a comic series, but they covered a lot and they did it pretty well. So definitely worth checking out. So that's my thoughts on the New Frontier, and a very inspiring story. So, just curious what you guys think. From what I can see, majority of you enjoy it as much as I do. Sadly, it was hard to find figures for this series. The only things we got was some DC Direct stuff. They looked good, but they were really more like statues, like most of what McFarlane was doing in that time. They definitely captured the sculpt, but the articulation was terrible. They didn't stand well. They look good. This is probably one I regret not picking up, because again, it's got the, homage to the Fleischer style, but it's its own thing. Darwin Cook doing his best interpretation of what that golden age to silver age transition Superman would be. So it's a little pricey on the aftermarket. You can still see it on Evil Bay, but it's not incredibly ridiculous. So I might pick this one up. If you guys ever see it on a good deal in a toy shop or something, let me know. It might be something I want to pick up. But I think it's only fair. We talk about DC's greatest moments. We should give a shout out to Marvel's with Kurt Busiek and Alex Ross. I think, in my opinion, Marvel's is the equivalent of what New Frontiers is for DC. It again encapsulates a lot of the greatest moments of Marvel history, and it does it beautifully with the work of Alex Ross as far as artwork. The story was very well written. These guys had worked together on Astro City, so of course they did a great job when they were given the Marvel characters to play with. Super detailed art. If you know Alex Ross, you know his painted stuff is just phenomenal. The way he handles the human form and really makes the heroes look like they just jumped out of real life. The way he does the suits gives them that very, Silver Age look, but somehow he makes it look earnest without looking goofy. And they definitely touch on things like the Kree-Skrull War, as you see in this panel. And it's all told as a story from the point of view of Phil Sheldon, a photographer who captures these moments as an outsider, looking at the superhero world and how they make news. The series only has 4 issues, plus issue 0, and covers from 39 to 74. You see the first fight between the Submariner and the original Human Torch, all the way through the forming of the Avengers. You see the coming of Galactus, the X-Men Children of the Atom storyline, the fear of mutants, and a really good story of the death of Gwen Stacy, where you actually get to see a different point of view, where our intrepid reporter actually talks with Gwen shortly before her demise. And again, great story. If you're looking for something that is done as well as New Frontier, I think Marvel's is definitely one that should be on your shelf. You have the collected versions, just like with the DC ones. You just want the paperback, collected, remastered, good to go. There is a nicer hardcover that is the 25th anniversary edition. If you got the extra cash, that might be one to pick up. It has the annotated stories, so there's notes in there from both Alex Ross and Kurt Busiek on the writing of the story. There's also an extra story, the epilogue, and then all the different variant tribute covers that Alex Ross did of all the different Marvel characters. So definitely one that should be on your bookshelf. So it's kind of what I've got on that. So definitely some inspirational stuff from both of the big comic publishers. And just thought that would be something interesting. We've had so much dark and dreary. I just kind of wanted to remind you that there are inspirational stories out there, and they're definitely worth a second look if you haven't seen them before. So, what do we have for drinking and thinking tonight? Well, I think we'll just keep in this same theme. You know, I think the key takeaway from these kind of stories, be it the Fleischer cartoons or the great Hanna-Barbera stuff like the Super Friends, even though they were kind of cheesy, there was substance over style. And that's the difference. Modern Hollywood is all about style over substance. It's all flash. It's all computer animated wizardry instead of good storytelling. So, cracking open a fresh one. Drink them if you got them, guys. And let me know what you think. What do you think is the best way to show substance over style in storytelling? Tasty. For me, I always go to the hero's journey. You know, it's quintessential. Most of our greatest story arcs, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, it's the hero's journey. It's not the only way to tell a good story, but it's one of the ways that we resonate with. You know, it works because it reflects how we follow our own inner path in our own lives. We all have that kind of thing we go through. But you have to remember, it's not just a story about going out and discovering, it's also about coming back and the return. So, the story isn't complete without the way back. But a real simplified version of the hero's journey, if you're not familiar, there's the call to adventure, something as a catalyst. There's the supreme ordeal, or trial, the initiation of the character. Then there's the unification or transformation, something that causes the hero to change and improve. And then the road back or the hero's return. And when you look at the greatest types of stories that we celebrate, you'll see the hero's journey. Even some of the more episodic stuff, there's a hint of that in there. But what do you think? That's what I want to know. What do you think is the key to great storytelling? And why does most modern stuff seem to fail? I think it's because of too much dependence on things like CGI and style, you know, instead of having really good substantive storytelling. I don't know, guys. Those are my thoughts for this evening. We've been going for a little over an hour. So, I'm just going to finish my tasty beverage and see what happens. Hopefully this was of interest to you guys tonight. Like I said, in the future, the walkabouts we'll do separate, but I'll talk about them here a little bit. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got. Reminder, this weekend, Stu, a Universal Toy Collector, will be doing his 24-hour charity marathon on his channel. And this is for the Give Kids the World. Great charity. He'll talk about it during the live stream, so please check it out this weekend, the 7th and the 8th. And that, my friends, is a wrap. I got nothing else. So hopefully y'all are having a good Thursday night. This was not terrible. We seem to do pretty well tonight. Thanks for showing up. Hopefully in the future, more will come. It's hard to find the right time, the right night. If you guys have suggestions for a better time slot or a better night to do this, please let me know. Still trying to figure it out. And we'll we'll see you in the near future, I guess. Good night.